September 12, 1997, at 8:45 a.m., a scene of utter chaos unfolds on Mateo St. in downtown Los Angeles, California, as six masked men burst into the Dunbar Armored facility with guns drawn. The robbers quickly take control of the building, tying up employees and security guards with zip ties. Panic sets in as the men begin loading cash into duffel bags and backpacks. The sound of gunfire and shattering glass fills the air as the robbers make their move. It's a heist that will leave behind a trail of destruction and a staggering haul of $18.9 million. The sun casts a golden glow over the city as the scene inside the Dunbar Armored facility descends into chaos. The robbers move with precision, their masks and black clothing making them all but invisible. Employees cower in fear as the men storm through the building, their guns raised menacingly. The air is thick with tension as the sound of footsteps echoes through the halls. Panic-stricken screams are muffled by the robbers' masks, but the terror in their victims' eyes is palpable. Alan Pace III, a Compton native with a talent for orchestrating high-stakes heists, stands at the center of it all. His childhood friends, Erik Damon Boyd, Eugene Lamar Hill Jr., Freddie Lynn McCrary Jr., Terry Wayne Brown Sr., and Thomas Lee Johnson, move in perfect sync with him, each playing their assigned roles in the daring robbery. Their plan is elaborate, with every detail meticulously executed to the letter. But as we'll soon discover, the group's biggest mistake lies not in their planning, but in their arrogance. This was a heist that would leave the FBI scratching its head for years to come. Witnesses outside the building claim to have heard the sound of gunfire and screams coming from inside. Some report seeing the robbers fleeing the scene in a black van, while others describe the men as being dressed in black and wearing ski masks. The sound of sirens fills the air as police and paramedics rush to the scene. Employees and security guards who manage to escape the building are left shaken and confused, unsure of what just transpired. The scene is one of utter chaos, with destruction and panic leaving a lasting impact on the community. Alan Pace III was the central figure in this case, a 29-year-old man who lived in Compton, California. Born and raised in the Los Angeles area, Pace was known by those around him to be charming and intelligent. He had a job that utilized his skills as a regional safety inspector for Dunbar Armored, a company that transported cash and valuables. At the time, Pace was married with a young child, and his wife was expecting their second child. His family life seemed picture-perfect, at least on the surface. Pace's daily life was filled with the routine of his job and family responsibilities. As a safety inspector, he was responsible for ensuring that the company's procedures were followed and that the armored trucks were secure. He took his job seriously and was liked by his co-workers for his easygoing personality. However, behind closed doors, Pace was struggling financially, and his family was living paycheck to paycheck. His financial struggles were a secret known only to him and his wife, as he presented a confident facade to the world. Pace's likable personality made him a trusted member of his community and a well-respected employee. He was a family man and a friend to many, and his charming demeanor made it easy for people to overlook his financial struggles. Those close to him found him to be a sympathetic figure, someone who was just trying to make ends meet and provide for his family. Pace's relatable situation made it easy for him to manipulate those around him, using his charm to get what he wanted. He was a master manipulator, and his charm was just the beginning of his carefully laid plan. As for the people he trusted, Pace had a small circle of close friends and family members who were unaware of his true intentions. His wife had no idea that her husband was struggling financially, and his friends thought he was doing well for himself. Pace had also confided in some co-workers at Dunbar Armored, sharing with them his plans to start his own business. However, these co-workers had no idea that Pace's business plan was actually a cover for something much more sinister. Little did they know, Pace was secretly planning the largest cash robbery in American history. On the night of Friday, September 12, 1997, a full moon hung in the sky above Los Angeles, casting a silver glow over the city. The air was crisp and cool as the temperature had dropped to a pleasant 65 degrees Fahrenheit. In downtown Los Angeles, on Mateo Street, the Dunbar Armored facility stood as a fortress of security, its alarms and cameras a deterrent to any potential thief. The employees were getting settled in for the long night ahead, unaware of the chaos that was soon to unfold. As the clock struck midnight, the city was quiet, but the scene was about to become anything but peaceful. Just 12 hours before the robbery, Alan Pace III, a regional safety inspector at Dunbar, had been fired for tampering with company vehicles. But Pace had a plan, and he quickly set it in motion, gathering his childhood friends to carry out the heist. The group had spent weeks casing the facility, studying the building's blueprints and timing the security cameras. They had even rehearsed the attack, knowing exactly when and where to strike. As the sun set on September 11th, the robbers began to assemble at a house party, their alibi for the night already in place. At 12:30 a.m., the group of 6, dressed in ski masks and armed with pistols and a shotgun, snuck into the facility using Pace's keys. They quickly subdued the guards, who were taking their lunch breaks in the staff cafeteria, before moving on to the vault. With no alarms sounded and no shots fired, the robbers worked with precision, loading the cash into a waiting U-Haul truck. The entire operation took just 30 minutes, a feat that would leave authorities stunned. Meanwhile, the group's accomplices were watching from a safe distance, awaiting their share of the loot. The most shocking detail of the robbery came when the perpetrators, in their haste, left behind a vital piece of evidence, a stack of banknotes that were still secured in their original straps. But what makes this detail even more astonishing is that one of the robbers, Eugene Lamar Hill, would later unknowingly return the evidence to the authorities. Imagine a real estate broker stumbling upon a stack of nearly $1 million in cash, thinking nothing of it, and then passing it along to the police. This incredible turn of events would ultimately lead to the downfall of the Dunbar Armored robbers and unravel the mystery that had captured the nation's attention. The employees at Dunbar Armored, who had been left shaken and traumatized by the robbery, were unaware of the extent of their losses. They soon discovered that $18.9 million was missing, a staggering sum that would leave even the most seasoned veterans of the armored car industry speechless. As the news began to spread, investigators were called to the scene, and the investigation was underway. But who were these robbers, and how had they managed to pull off such a daring heist? The answers would have to wait, but one thing was certain, the game was afoot. Comment below, what do you think really happened here? Did the robbers have inside help, or were they simply a group of skilled and ruthless thieves? Share your theories with us, and we'll dive deeper into the case in the next installment. As the investigation unfolds, it becomes clear that the Dunbar Armored robbery was not just a crime of opportunity, but a meticulously planned and executed operation. The robbers had spent months casing the facility, studying the security cameras, and timing the guards' movements. They had even rehearsed the attack, knowing exactly where to strike and how to avoid detection. But despite their best efforts, they left behind a crucial piece of evidence, which would ultimately lead to their downfall. And now, as the investigation enters its next phase, we find ourselves at a critical juncture. Who will be the first to crack under the pressure, and what secrets will they reveal? Stay tuned, folks, as we delve deeper into the world of the Dunbar Armored robbers and follow the twists and turns of this gripping true crime story. Police first responded to the Dunbar Armored robbery on September 12, 1997, around 1 a.m. after receiving a security alarm notification. The team from the Los Angeles Police Department arrived at the scene to find a vault had been breached, but no witnesses were present to give a description of the perpetrators. Initial reports claimed the stolen money was valued at $20 million, later revised to $18.9 million. However, by the time police arrived, the robbers had already escaped with the cash. Unfortunately, the police were left with almost no leads to follow. The key piece of evidence that changed everything was discovered 2 years later, in 1999, after Eugene Lamar Hill Jr., one of the robbers, carelessly handed a real estate broker a stack of banknotes still secured in their original currency straps. The broker immediately contacted the police, who were finally able to link the stolen money to the robbers. This breakthrough led investigators to reopen the case, and a thorough investigation was launched once more. The initial investigation, however, had been severely lacking due to the lack of concrete evidence. Fortunately, new leads emerged, allowing police to start piecing together the events of the robbery. The main suspects in the case were all linked to Alan Pace III, who masterminded the heist. Pace had been fired from his job at Dunbar just one day prior to the robbery, but his role in the crime was still unknown at that time. The police had also identified several of Pace's childhood friends who had participated in the heist. These friends were later revealed to be Erik Damon Boyd, Freddie Lynn McCrary Jr., Terry Wayne Brown Sr., and Thomas Lee Johnson. Investigators began tracking down leads on these individuals, working exhaustively to uncover any connection to the robbery. The red herring that wasted months of investigation was a tip about a suspicious individual seen near the Dunbar facility on the night of the robbery. This lead had initially piqued the interest of the investigators, but it ultimately led to a dead end and diverted resources away from the real suspects. Police spent months pursuing the false lead, leaving the actual robbers relatively untouched. Meanwhile, time continued to pass, and hope began to dwindle for a breakthrough in the case. The Dunbar Armored robbery remained one of the largest unsolved cases in the United States. The twist or revelation nobody predicted, is that despite being masterminded by Alan Pace III, an inside man working as a regional safety inspector at Dunbar Armored, he wasn't the mastermind initially suspected to have betrayed his employers. It was Eugene Lamar Hill Jr. who unknowingly implicated his former friend after accidentally giving a stack of freshly laundered banknotes to a real estate broker, still secured in their original currency straps, which led to the unraveling of the entire plot. This twist raises more questions than answers, as it reveals the extent of Hill's involvement and how little he actually knew about the intricacies of the heist. Hill's confession implicated all 6 robbers, as well as 3 other men who had assisted in laundering the money, which raises concerns about the reliability of the entire operation. The fact that Hill was the one to unwittingly blow the lid off the case has left many to wonder if he was the most or least culpable member of the group, or if he was simply caught up in the excitement of the operation. The details of Hill's involvement have also sparked debate about the morality of his actions, as did his initial reluctance to cooperate with the authorities. The final verdict was handed down, with Alan Pace III receiving a 24-year prison sentence in 2001, followed by sentences ranging from 8 to 10 years for his accomplices, while Eugene Lamar Hill Jr. was also imprisoned for his role in the robbery. Despite receiving a relatively lighter sentence compared to Pace and the others, Hill's actions led to the downfall of the entire operation and the recovery of a significant portion of the stolen funds. 3 men who assisted in laundering the money also received prison time, with 2 of them serving 2.5 years. The Dunbar Armored robbery case was a complex web of deceit and betrayal that ultimately led to justice being served, albeit in a way that few could have predicted at the time. The case serves as a sobering reminder of the dangers of betrayal and the importance of loyalty in any profession. As for what happened to the key people after serving their time, Alan Pace III was released from prison in 2015, after serving nearly 2 decades of his 24-year sentence. Eugene Lamar Hill Jr. was released in 2004, having served 6 years of his sentence. While details of their lives after prison are scarce, it is safe to assume that both men have had to cope with the consequences of their actions in different ways. The Dunbar Armored robbery case also led to increased security measures at